Once upon a time, in the chilly, sparkly waters of the Antarctic, lived a little penguin named Pip. Pip was small, even for a penguin, with feathers as black and white as a freshly drawn checkerboard. He loved zooming through the icy waves, but sometimes he felt a little lonely. He wished he had a friend who could share his adventures. One day, while chasing a particularly juicy fish, Pip bumped into something huge. It was Wally, a whale so enormous that Pip felt like a tiny pebble next to a giant mountain. Wally, a gentle giant with a friendly smile, was surprised to see the little penguin. Pip, instead of being scared, bravely chirped, "Hello, my name is Pip." Wally chuckled, a sound like rumbling thunder far away. "Well, hello there, Pip. I'm Wally. It's not every day I bump into a penguin this small," Pip giggled. He'd never met a whale before, let alone one who talked. Their differences were clear. Pip was small and quick, able to dart and dive with amazing speed. Wally was slow and enormous, gliding gracefully through the water. Pip could eat tiny fish, while Wally ate massive amounts of krill. But despite their differences, they found they had a lot in common. They both loved playing in the waves. They both enjoyed the delicious taste of ocean water, though Pip preferred to just taste it, and they both appreciated a good nap on a nice, icy iceberg. Their friendship blossomed. Pip would ride on Wally's back, enjoying a whale-sized view of the ocean. Wally would carefully carry Pip to the best fishing spots, where Pip could catch the juiciest fish for his supper. They played hide and seek amongst the icebergs, Pip zipping in and out of the underwater caves, while Wally patiently waited, his giant tail swishing playfully. One day, a fierce storm brewed, tossing the icebergs around like toys. Pip, scared and lost, found himself far away from Wally. He felt very small and alone again. Suddenly, he heard a familiar rumbling sound. It was Wally, who had searched tirelessly for his little friend. He scooped Pip up safely in his enormous flipper and brought him back to the calm waters near their favorite iceberg. Pip snuggled close to Wally, feeling safe and warm. Their friendship, so different yet so strong, had taught them a valuable lesson. It didn't matter how big or small you are, or how different you might be. True friendship finds a way to shine through. From that day on, Pip and Wally remained the best of friends, a little penguin and a big whale, proving that even the unlikeliest of pairs can make the most wonderful friends. Once upon a time, in the sparkling blue ocean, lived a grumpy shark named Finny and a super chill sea turtle named Shelly. Finny, with his sharp teeth and even sharper temper, was known for his grumpy grumbles and his love of chasing anything that wiggled. Shelly, on the other hand, was all about slow and steady. She loved munching on seaweed and sunbathing on warm rocks. One day, Finny spotted Shelly drifting peacefully near a colorful coral reef. His tummy rumbled, not from hunger, but from his usual grumpy urge to chase something. He zoomed toward Shelly, his fins churning up a mini whirlpool. Shelly, completely unfazed, just opened one eye, peered at Finny, and calmly went back to munching her seaweed. "Out of my way, slowpoke!" roared Finny, expecting Shelly to scurry. But Shelly just continued nibbling. Finny tried again, circling her with menacing fins. He even pretended to bite her seaweed, making dramatic chomping sounds. Shelly, however, remained utterly unmoved. She didn't even flinch. Finny was baffled. He'd never met anyone so calm in the face of his fearsome reputation. He grumbled to himself, "This is ridiculous. Nobody ignores Finny the fearsome shark." He circled Shelley one last time, then stopped, completely out of breath. He was starting to feel silly. Shelley, sensing Finny's change in mood, slowly turned towards him. "You know," she said gently, "chasing isn't the only way to have fun. Sometimes it's much more enjoyable to simply be." She gestured to the beautiful coral reef teeming with life. Finny looked around. He had been so focused on chasing Shelley that he hadn't even noticed the spectacular colors and amazing creatures around them. He felt a tiny pang of guilt. He'd been so caught up in his grumpiness that he'd missed the beauty of his own home. From that day on, Finny and Shelley became the unlikeliest of friends. Finny still had his grumpy moments, but he learned to appreciate Shelley's calm nature and the beauty of the ocean. He even started joining Shelley for her seaweed snacks, although he still pretended to be grumpy about it. He discovered that being friendly was much more rewarding than being grumpy, and the ocean became a much more fun place for both of them. Their story reminds us that even the grumpiest among us can learn to appreciate the simple joys of life, if only we're open to it. Once upon a time, deep down in the shimmering blue ocean, lived a starfish named Stella and an octopus named Ollie. Stella, with her 5 bright pink arms, loved to wiggle across the sandy seafloor, leaving sparkly trails behind her. Ollie, with his 8 super flexible arms, was a mischievous chap who loved to zoom around, squirting water at anything that caught his eye. Their days were filled with fun and games. Stella would carefully collect seashells, building tiny, whimsical castles on the ocean floor. Ollie, meanwhile, would use his arms to create amazing underwater art, swirling the sand into fantastic patterns. Sometimes they'd play hide and seek amongst the coral reefs, Stella cleverly camouflaging herself amongst the colorful rocks, while Ollie would change his color to blend in with the seaweed, a master of disguise. One day, a grumpy old crab named Mr. Krabs scuttled by, complaining about the mess Stella and Ollie were making. "You're such messy creatures," he grumbled, snapping his claws. Stella and Ollie, feeling a little sad, stopped their game. They didn't mean to cause any trouble. Seeing their disappointment, a wise old sea turtle, Shelley, swam by. "Don't listen to Miss Krabs," she said kindly. "The ocean is a big place, and there's enough room for everyone to have fun. The beauty of the ocean is in its diversity." She explained that Stella's sparkly trails attracted tiny fish, and Ollie's sand art created exciting new habitats for other creatures. Stella and Ollie's faces lit up. They realized that their playful activities weren't just fun for them, but also beneficial for their ocean home. They continued their games, but this time they were even more careful, making sure not to disturb the peaceful sleeping clams or the busy little shrimps. From that day on, Stella and Ollie continued their playful adventures, learning that being playful and responsible could go hand in hand. They even taught Mr. Krabs a few games, showing him that being grumpy wasn't all that fun after all. Mr. Krabs slowly started to join in their games, discovering the joy of friendship and play. The story of Stella and Ollie reminds us that fun and responsibility can coexist beautifully. Just like the colorful ocean floor, our lives are richer when we embrace playfulness and consider the impact our actions have on others and the environment. So, go ahead and be playful, but remember to be kind and mindful too, just like Stella and Ollie. Once upon a time, in a sparkling pond filled with lily pads and wobbly reeds, lived two very different fish, Mujair and Mas. Mujair, a spunky tilapia with bright orangey-red fins, was a bit of a show-off. He loved to zoom around, splashing and creating tiny whirlpools. Mas, a graceful goldfish with shimmering scales, preferred a more peaceful life. He liked to gently sway in the current, admiring the sunbeams dancing on the water. One sunny afternoon, Mujar decided to put on a dazzling display of underwater acrobatics. He flipped, he flopped, he even attempted a backflip, which ended with him bumping into a particularly grumpy snail. Mars, watching from a quiet corner, giggled silently. "He's quite the performer," he thought, swirling a bit in the current. Later that day, a hungry heron swooped down, causing chaos in the pond. All the fish scattered in a panic. Mujair, usually so confident, found himself momentarily frozen with fear. He was too busy showing off to notice the danger until it was almost upon him. But then, something amazing happened. Mars, despite his quiet nature, sprang into action. He used his swift, graceful movements to distract the heron, leading it away from the panicked Mujair and the other smaller fish. He weaved and bobbed, creating a shimmering, confusing display that confused the bird. The heron, baffled by Mass's sudden burst of energy, finally gave up and flew away. Once the danger passed, all the fish gathered together, relieved. Mujar, feeling a little sheepish, swam up to Mars. "Wow, Mars," he said, "I never thought you were so fast and brave." Mars, his scales twinkling, simply smiled. "We all have our strengths," he replied gently. "Sometimes it's better to be clever than showy." From that day on, Mujair and Mars remained the best of friends. Mujair still enjoyed his underwater acrobatics, but he learned the importance of staying alert. Mars continued his graceful dances, but he also discovered a hidden bravery within himself. They learned that being different didn't matter. What truly mattered was their friendship and how they helped each other, showing that even a playful goldfish and a showy tilapia can be the best of friends. And their pond? Well, it was never quite so dull after that exciting adventure. Once upon a time, in the sparkly blue ocean, lived a playful dolphin named Echo. Echo loved to zoom through the water, doing flips and twirls. He was always looking for fun, a real giggle machine of the sea. One day, while chasing a shimmering school of fish, Echo spotted something unusual. It was a tiny shrimp dancing, not just any dance, but a magnificent, swirling underwater ballet. This wasn't your average shrimp. This was Shelly, a shrimp with a passion for performance. She twirled and leaped, her tiny claws flashing in the sunlight, filtering through the water. Echo, mesmerized, slowed down his playful chase and watched in awe. Shelley's dance was so joyful, so full of energy, it made Echo feel happy just watching. Echo, being the friendly dolphin he was, gently approached Shelley. "Wow," he exclaimed, his voice a bubbly whistle. "That was the most amazing dance I've ever seen. What's your secret?" Shelley, initially a little shy, giggled. She explained that she practiced every day, learning new moves from the flowing seaweed and the playful currents. She loved to make others happy with her dancing. Echo, fascinated by Shelley's dedication, decided to join in the fun. He wasn't exactly known for his graceful moves, but he tried his best to imitate Shelley's twirls and leaps, albeit in a much larger, clumsier way. Shelley found his clumsy attempts absolutely hilarious, and they both laughed until bubbles floated to the surface. Their unlikely friendship blossomed. Every day, Echo would visit Shelley, and they would spend hours playing together. Echo would create playful water currents with his powerful tail, helping Shelley practice her dances, and Shelley would cheer Echo on as he attempted, and sometimes succeeded, in more graceful movements. They even created a new dance together, a combination of Echo's powerful flips and Shelley's delicate twirls. One day, a group of other sea creatures, a grumpy crab, a shy seahorse, and a curious pufferfish, watched Echo and Shelley dance. Seeing their joy and friendship, even the grumpy crab cracked a smile. The other sea creatures joined in, creating a spectacular underwater dance party. The story of Echo and Shelley proves that friendship can blossom in the most unexpected places. It shows that even though we might be different sizes and have different skills, we can still find joy and friendship by sharing our passions and celebrating each other's uniqueness. And most importantly, it reminds us that a little bit of playful fun can brighten even the darkest depths of the ocean. Once upon a time, in a shimmering coral castle, lived a little crab named Crabby. Crabby wasn't like other crabs. He didn't like digging in the sand or pinching unsuspecting clams. Crabby had a craving. He desperately wanted to taste a jellyfish. Now, everyone knew jellyfish were wobbly, jiggly, and slightly stingy. But Crabby, oh, how he yearned for a taste of that jiggly goodness. This craving led him on a hilariously clumsy adventure. First, he tried to catch a jellyfish with his tiny claws. The jellyfish, a plump, pink one named Jelly, simply jiggled away, leaving Crabby covered in seawater. His next attempt was even funnier. He tried to build a trap out of seaweed and pebbles. It looked more like a wobbly, underwater snowman than a trap, and Jelly just swam right through it, giggling. Crabby's attempts were a series of comical failures. He tried to lure Jelly with a shiny pebble. Jelly wasn't impressed. He attempted a daring underwater chase. Jelly was much faster. And he even tried to build a tiny raft to get closer. It promptly sank. Each failure only made him laugh a little, because despite his frustration, the whole experience was utterly ridiculous. The turning point came when Crabby, exhausted and covered in seaweed, finally stopped to watch Jelly dance in the current. Jelly, surprisingly, wasn't scary at all. She was graceful, her movements fluid and mesmerizing. She pulsed with a gentle rhythm, making beautiful patterns in the water. Crabby realized something important. He didn't need to eat Jelly to appreciate her. Her beauty was enough. Then, something amazing happened. Jelly, noticing Crabby's tired but happy expression, gently nudged him with a tentacle. It wasn't a sting, but a soft, playful touch. Jelly had sensed Crabby's good heart, despite his unusual craving. They spent the rest of the afternoon swimming and playing together, proving that even the most unlikely friends can find common ground. So, the story of Crabby and Jelly teaches us that sometimes the best things in life aren't things you can eat, but friendships you can make. And sometimes the craziest cravings lead to the most unexpected and wonderful discoveries. Perhaps next time you have a craving, remember Krabby and Jelly, and maybe, just maybe, you'll find something even better than you expected.